Hey, I'm Julia Watkins. I am so excited to be the Alumni Insight speaker for the month of June, and I will be speaking on buying your first house. I live and work in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I am a real estate agent. I'm a double Gamecock, once with a bachelor's degree from the journalism school, once with a master's in higher education. Buying a home is not impossible, and it's probably more feasible than you might think. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is so exciting for us to be back. We took a selfie with the Harris Fastides portrait, so it is just awesome being in this facility. We're going to start by just introducing ourselves, and then we want y'all to introduce yourselves just so we have a small group, which is kind of what Chris and I wanted. It's just so much better to answer any questions you have individually. But my name is Julia Watkins. I am a real estate agent. I am from Charleston, South Carolina, double Gamecock, came here for undergrad, left, came back for grad school, and now I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. But my heart is definitely partially still here in Columbia. And I work for Berkshire Hathaway. You may have heard of it. It's Warren Buffett's company, whatever. Fine. But yeah, just super excited to be here. I have bought 2 homes with my husband, so I have that personal experience. And then I help people buy homes all the time as my work, and I absolutely love it. And just so excited to hear y'all's questions. I brought Chris with me because he is going to help explain more about the money piece. Buying a home does cost money, and we have to figure out how to pay for homes. So without further ado, I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is Chris Barton. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. Went to school here in South Carolina, and then I joined the mortgage world pretty much right out of school. It's the first job I got, and I stuck with it. I really like it. It's a great career that I kind of carved out for myself. Worked here for about 2.5 years. Moved to Charleston. I've been running the branch in West Ashley for the past couple of years. I have bought 3 homes, sold 2. So I definitely did not listen to my own advice and fell into some pitfalls buying a house. I've helped over 500 families buy homes in the last 8 years. So I've seen a lot. So if you have any questions, I probably have heard of it. So I'll hopefully be able to answer them for you. But I'm excited. First-time home buyers are easily my favorite folks to work with.
Me too.
Yeah, it's just a rewarding experience to see home buyers or people wanting to buy a home or think there's no way they can buy a house. We carve a path for them. They buy a house. It's super rewarding for the client and of course us as well. So I'm excited. So we'll get back.
So we want to see who's in the room. So if you don't mind introducing yourselves, we want to know if you're an alum or you're a current student and when you graduated. Do you already own a home? Or are you thinking about maybe buying a home in the next 5 years? And, or if you're renting and you're not sure if buying a home is for you at all. You might be on the rent train forever and ever, and that's okay too. We may convince you, we may not, and that's totally fine. We're not here to convince you to buy a home. We're here to tell you all the information, and then you make a decision if it might be something that is in your 5 or 10 year plan. So can we start with this group here, and then we'll work our way around?
I'm Jennifer Gary, 2018 oriented in Alumni State here. And I was be here. I went first state home owner hyper. So I graduated from last school. So I'm looking at new ways to go out for some of the market.
Thanks.
Love it.
Cool.
Awesome. Y'all want to go too?
Well,
They're a tripod.
Yeah.
I ended up rethink our info to
Build that wealth. Love it.
Oh.
Love it. 3 generations.
Beautiful.
Y'all win. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thanks for being here, guys.
Hey, I'm Morgan. I'm a winner. I graduated with 2010. I worked in public classes. Started my that offers. But you're good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. There's years. So we bought a house. There's not that is a future date. Moving out.
Nice. Investment properties. Great. Awesome.
Hi, exactly what's the graduate student for the master here at USC. You know,
Thanks, Maggie.
today we're all about training about what to work with the university of right now, no, but that's increased.
I'm Will Briggs. Graduated in 2012. And I'm here, still doing USC, but I'm still involved
But that
We're going to buy.
Excellent.
for a while.
Love it. Great. You want to go?
I'm Laura McGregor. The Olympic weekend. It's my third.
That is so cute. And she has a huge backyard. She's my cousin.
she's with it.
That's how I know. That's how I've been to her house. Awesome. So we're just going to start us off by playing a fun little game called Fact or Crap. And we'll ask you, we're going to put a statement on the screen, and then we're going to ask you who thinks it's a fact, who thinks it's crap, who has no idea. And if you have no idea, that is so fine, because that's why you're here. So I'm going to get us started off, and we're going to explain why it's fact or why it's crap after each answer. Chris and I will switch off. But don't be shy. And again, if you're wrong, we're so happy that you're here. So it's almost good to be wrong because you're in the right place. Okay. You need 20% to put down, 20% of your purchase price to put down on your first home. Who thinks that's a fact? Rory thinks it's a fact. Okay. Who thinks it's crap? Who has no idea? One. Okay. All right. It is crap. Guys, that's a thing of the past. That is a total thing of the past. Our parents' generation, maybe grandmother's generation, they put down 20%. We don't need to do that anymore. And I'm going to let Chris tell us why.
Yeah, there are tons of options when it comes to how much you need to put down. We have clients. I have a veteran client who's closing on a home with $800 out of pocket. On a $270,000 home. Of course, it's the VA loan. So there's 100% financing options. There's first-time home buyer options that are little as 3 or 3.5% down of the purchase price. That is the most popular two options. And then you can do 5%, 10%, 15, 20, 50, 80, doesn't matter. So you do not need 20% down. There is options that you get paid at closing to get out. So there are dozens and dozens of loan products that are less than 20% down.
And I'm going to chime in. I really was adamant about putting 20% down because I thought that meant that I was going to get this way better interest rate. And Chris actually advised us. He was like, don't put all of your cash, because if something happens and you need a new HVAC system, if your air conditioner breaks, that's like a $10,000 expense. You do not want to be strapped for cash and have all of your cash tied up in your real estate. So I actually advise my clients, if you won the lottery, sure, put 20% down or pay for the house in cash. But otherwise, make sure you have that cushion to be able to afford if anything goes wrong in the home. And so I think we ended up putting between 3 and 5% down.
I've had a gentleman come to me. He's like, I need to put 20% down because I don't want to pay PMI. PMI is private mortgage insurance. If you put less than 20% down, yes, you will be paying that. But if you have good credit, it can be very, very cheap for you. Where does it make sense to pay it monthly? Also, instead of putting that extra 15% down, he ended up paying off his car and his student loan payments, which freed him up even more. So we're going to look at that as well, not just get the lowest mortgage payment. Like, okay, that's great. That's our goal. But can we free up money elsewhere too? So we'll also look at that.
And that's the beauty of having Chris, is he's not just trying to get you in on this loan. He's also almost kind of like a financial advisor too. In a way.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm not going to tell you that, but
no, I'm not.
He really wants what's best for you and what's best for your family. So, all right, you ready for the next one? You should find the home you want to buy before hiring your realtor. Who thinks it's a fact? Good job. Who thinks it's crap? Who has no idea? Ooh, Jesse says he doesn't know. Ooh, I want to know more about that. We think it's crap, okay? And so this is crap because you want to establish a relationship with a realtor
to represent you in the home buying process way before you find a house. You guys don't know all of the real estate laws. You guys don't know the ins and outs about the homes. That is what we are here for. My job is to represent you and only you during a transaction. So if you spill your guts to the seller of the home and tell them how much money you have, that's not going to be good for us later down the road when we're negotiating to get you the lowest price on the house, okay? So allow the realtor to do the work for you. A lot of people come and they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to use a realtor because I can get a lower price. I promise you, you're getting screwed over when you do that, okay? They're going to take advantage of you. We know the law. We know how to negotiate. That is why you are hiring us to help you with this transaction, okay? I know it's fun to look on Zillow, maybe look on realtor.com. I highly recommend you go with someone that you know instead of a total stranger. A lot of times with Zillow, it's like, want to go see this house? Find a realtor to take you on a tour. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't know who that is. Somebody's paying Zillow to get your information, and you want to find someone that you know. Chris and I both, no matter where you are, Columbia, we have real estate agents here. She's a real estate agent here. I'm going to promote your business. I'm a real estate agent in Charlotte. I can get you a real estate agent anywhere in this entire country. Let's say you're moving to Oklahoma. I will find you a reliable, strong realtor that will match what you're looking for. Maybe they look for first-time home. Maybe they help first-time home buyers. Maybe they help veterans. Maybe they help traveling nurses, and you're going with a rental. Few and far between, but we could try it. But the point is if you know someone in the real estate industry, start with them and let them help you find another agent, even if it's not in the same city, because we'll be able to help get you matched with someone who is a good fit for you. Don't use Zillow or Realtor.com. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. You can browse, but don't put your information there, okay? Because people are paying to get that information, and then you're just going to get totally blown up by a bunch of realtors and a bunch of loan officers.
Yep.
You know anything else?
They nailed it.
Okay, great. Yes, it's crap. Also, Rory rocks because she put, if you'll notice, all the crap is a crappy house. We'll see. Well, I wouldn't want to live there, but it's real estate and it's property. So you never know. All right. You should get pre-approved before starting your home search process. Is it? Oh, no. I gave it away. Oh.
Okay, it's fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
Tell us why, Chris.
It's a fact. I can't tell you how many people who come to me like, oh my God, I found the right house. I want to buy this house. And then like, okay, let's talk about the numbers. And then they realize, oh, this is way outside my budget. Or hey, there's something sitting on their credit report. And they had no idea that was sitting on their credit report. And then they can't qualify for the home. And then they're heartbroken. And then I'm the bad guy, which I don't like being the bad guy. So you should definitely get pre-approved. And what we do is we look at your entire budget to see, okay, this is the price point that you should be looking at. That's going to come with an out-of-pocket expense that you're comfortable with, and also a monthly payment that you're comfortable with every single month. So that way I help guide you in the right direction. Like, hey, we need to be looking at 250, 300. Every 300, that's going to push your budget. You can be approved for it on paper, but I don't care about that. I don't care about what you're comfortable with on a month-to-month basis, because I don't want you to call me 2 years down the road and say, I'm stressed out. I'm just making my mortgage payments. I'm not living the life I want to live. We don't want to be house poor. So that's why we develop a relationship and go over a budget that is comfortable with you guys. And you should definitely do that first. Let us look at everything because it doesn't cost you anything. And also, we can get you pre-approved with just soft credit pulls, so it doesn't impact your credit either. That's one of the biggest hurdles that folks come to us like, oh, I don't want my credit dinged. We don't have to do that anymore. So that is one thing that we've recently done the last 2 years. So we don't have to impact your credit to get you pre-approved. Take a peek under the hood. Let's develop a budget and go from there.
Chris, when should I contact you during the home search process?
I would say if you are even a year out from buying a home, let's start talking. On the way up here, I started talking to a couple that just graduated college. They got new jobs. They're excited about buying a home in May of 2025. I'm like, great, let's start a budget. Let's talk now. So that way we have that relationship going over the next year. So there's really no bad time or early enough to start talking to a lender. I think the sooner, the better, because you don't know if there's something, especially with credit. The magic thing is it just takes time to repair credit. So it might take you 3 to 6 months if there's something sitting on your credit report that we need addressed. So the sooner, the better. I would say at least 6 months before you want to close on your home.
I'm going to say 2 more things. One is a question for Chris about, will it hurt my credit to start talking with you when you look at my credit? You keep that in your back pocket so I don't forget the other one.
Yep.
The second one is, let's say everyone should talk to Chris because he's licensed in South Carolina and North Carolina, right?
In Georgia, and Tennessee, and Florida.
Woo! Okay. But same with him. You probably have lender friends in other states too.
Absolutely. Yep.
Excellent. But let's say like you totally get amnesia and you forget both of us exist. Your realtor will have lender friends as well. So you know how we said talk to your realtor first before you start the search process? Your realtor can also recommend a lender to you. We want you to use Chris. We want you to use me. We really want y'all to start with us because we're excited to meet you and we'd love to help you. But don't be afraid. If you have a friend in the business or something, they'll have recommendations as well. So you want to trust your people who are representing you to also refer you to lenders or realtors.
Yep.
I refer people to Chris. Chris refers people to me. We work really well together. Other realtors may work really well with other lenders. Other lenders may work really well with other realtors. So,
Question.
So speaking of what are like the you think the report like the right realtor, like you want certain like their
you want a realtor who knows your area. So, for example, I helped a girlfriend of mine. Her little sister was buying in Texas. And so when I vet a realtor for someone else, I ask them, how many transactions have you done? Tell me about your experience. Tell me about your experience with first-time home buyers, or insert whatever population I'm working with. Tell me about your experience with veterans. Tell me about your experience with a senior citizen. Tell me about your experience with, whatever population. Insert. Yep. And then I ask them, tell me about the process. How do you explain this? We'll get into this more later, but when I bought my first home, I felt like it was all way over my head and someone was not slow and patient really explaining to me how it all worked. I wanted to know on the front end, like, what is the full steps to get to the end closing and own a home? So you kind of need to vet them yourselves and you need to tell them what they're looking for. If this is like your 10th home and you just want quick, easy transaction, the realtor does all the work and see it at the closing table, that's fine too. But some people want a lot slower and a little more hand holding. That's where Chris and I feel like that's what Chris and I really love about first time home buyer is that hand holding. Yeah. So you may just want to look for someone who I also, I'm fairly new to the real estate business. I don't have a huge client list. So when you're my client, you are like my only client, or I'm only working with you and a couple more clients. So I can give you that full attention. Some of these other real estate agents who do, 10 transactions in a month, it's a lot of balls in the air and you might not be getting the attention that you deserve. So maybe ask about that. Like, how many closings do you do in a given month? Because usually it takes about 30 days for a regular closing. Sometimes it's 60 days, sometimes it's 90 days, depending on circumstances. But maybe ask your realtor, how many closings do you usually do in a month to make sure that you're getting that attention that you deserve? Yeah. Did that help? Great. All right.
The credit thing. Yeah.
Oh.
It does not.
I knew I'd forget.
Yeah, it does not impact your credit nowadays to get pre-approved. Like I said, it's just all credit pulls, and you only got to do that once. Eventually, we will need to do our credit pull, but we're going to tell you, like, hey, now is the time for us to do our credit pull. You're about to get 1,000 phone calls in 24 hours, just as a heads up. It's super annoying, but they're going to move on to someone else. We do not sell information. There's companies that pay the credit bureaus to release information like, hey, James just applied for a mortgage. You also call and try to get their business. So last 2 days, maybe, then they move on. So that's it.
Thank you. Glad you remembered. Okay, fact or crap. This is a tough one.
Don't bust next.
Huh? I'm not going to click the button. No. phone bills, utilities, Netflix subscriptions are all counted against your debt to income ratios. Is that a fact? Who thinks it's a fact? Who thinks it's crap? Who has no idea? I love it, guys. Love it. We stumped you.
This is good.
It's crap.
Yeah.
Tell us why, Chris.
Yeah. So lenders, we really only look at what is on your credit report, and that is hard monthly obligations. That's student loans, that's personal loans, auto loans, credit cards, anything like utility bills, Netflix subscriptions, or anything like that. That's totally consumer based. We don't necessarily care about that when you're qualifying for the loan. Of course, we talk about that, like, hey, we need to make sure you have an extra $300 a month to pay for your living expenses, like water, especially during the summer, and the heat is ungodly hot.
Famously
Columbia,
hot.
Famously hot. There you go. And your utility bills are going to be through the roof. You got to make sure you can budget for that. But as far as qualifying for the loan, lenders actually do not care.
Any questions on that? Very good. What's some more things that do count?
Student loans, car loans, personal loans, credit cards. Trying to think if there's any collections. If you have a lot of collections, we do have to take a monthly payment on the total outstanding balance that's over $2,000 collectively. Any judgments against you, any unpaid IRS debt or any tax debt, we also look at too. And as far as like, I have clients who try to hide like, oh, I owe the IRS $10,000, but I'm not going to tell you about it because it actually doesn't come up on credit reports, but it does come up on what we call fraud guard. We're going to find out about it. Like if you have another house that you don't want to tell us about or unpaid IRS debt that you don't want to tell us about, we're going to find out. It's very hard to hide anything from lenders nowadays.
And that's a great point too. Like with your realtor, with your lender, it should be someone that you trust.
Yeah.
Don't hide anything because it's just going to make it harder down the road.
The harder I'm going to be, again, pegged as a bad guy, and you're not going to like the conversation. And it's, again, we'll find out. Not to scare y'all by any means, but I agree. Like you have to be forthcoming. You want to be able to trust us during this. So that's why we establish a relationship early.
Thank you. Okay, fact or crap. You can have someone who isn't living in the house co-sign with you to help you qualify for a loan. Is it a fact? Is it crap? We have no idea. Lots of mixed. Okay. It's a fact. So you can have a co-signer help you qualify for a loan. Can you tell us more about this, Chris?
Yeah, they don't even have to be living in the home. So it's called a non-occupying co-signer. If for whatever reason, let's say you just started a new job. I'll give you my example. When I purchased my home in Charleston, my wife and I were purchasing a home. She had a salary job. I just started a full commission job, the job I'm in today. I didn't have a 2-year history of showing income for the loan. So we had to only use Elaine's income. My wife's name is Elaine. We had to use Elaine's income. If that's a similar situation, let's say Elaine wasn't in the picture, I could have someone who wasn't living in the home with me co-sign for the home, and whoever makes the payments, totally up to them after they close, as long as the mortgage payments are made. So you can have a non-occupying co-bar if you need someone to help qualify for the home. If you have a unique situation or you just change jobs and you can't have a history of showing that income, even if you know you're going to make the payments yourself.
An example that we were talking about before is, let's say I've had a client who she was an influencer and she and her boyfriend were buying a home. She had good income, but she couldn't like prove that it was what?
Probably didn't have a history of it.
Consistent and a history. So like she had some good cash, but he had to be on the loan by himself. So I think.
Yeah, you can use assets for that, but similar.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. All right. The seller can cover your closing costs and theirs on your home purchase. Is it a fact or a crap? Do we know what closing costs are? Jesse does because he bought a home, sorta. Closing costs is the money that you have to bring to the table in order to actually get the key to the house, okay? You can't just say, oh, I'm going to put it all in the loan. You are going to bring some money to the table. It might not be a ton of money, but you will bring some money to the table. So, yes, Rory?
Closing costs fluctuate, right?
It totally depends on the purchase price of the house. The higher the purchase price, the higher money you'll bring to closing. I've seen as low as 5,000.
Yeah.
Maybe you've seen even lower.
Yeah.
Up to 100,000. I mean, lots and lots, depending on the price of the home. So it's totally a range. And again, when Chris runs your stuff, he can give you that closing cost estimate so that you would know how much you would need to bring to the table before the closing is scheduled.
Yeah. 100%.
So anyway, this is a fact. I don't even think I asked y'all. Sorry. It's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact.
The seller can cover your closing costs and theirs on your home purchase. And that's actually what a lot of people are doing now because interest rates are a little bit higher. That's a good way to negotiate the price down, and it's a good way to potentially get your interest rate down. Interest rates are in the 7s right now for a conventional.
Teetering at 7.
Ooh, okay. So that is much higher than when we were in the pandemic and we saw interest rates as low as 2.5% and 3%. Sadly, we're probably not going back there, guys.
Or ever.
Probably, definitely not in our lifetimes. Yeah. We don't think. So now, if you want to lower that interest rate, if you want to bring less money to the closing table, it's your real estate agent can negotiate that the seller pays for part of the closing cost. That means less cash that you have to bring to the table in order to get that key. Okay. This is why you need a real estate agent. They can help you. If the house is on the market for 1 day and they have 5 offers, they're not paying for your closing costs. This is probably used more for homes that are sitting on the market. The sellers need to sell, and you can come in there with an offer and say, hey, I'm offering $5,000, $10,000 lower than your asking price, and I want you to pay $5,000 in closing. It's a great offer for a house that's been sitting on the market for, 30, 40, 50 days. We see it all the time. So don't be afraid to ask your real estate agent, hey, can the seller help cover the closing costs? Also, one more strategy that I bet Chris is going to say is it's probably a lot cheaper to ask them to cover $5,000 in closing costs instead of offering $5,000 below the listing price. You will have more cash if you get them to cover your closing costs rather than go $5,000 under. I know it feels really good to say, oh yeah, we got the house for $5,000 less than it was listed for. But if you pay that full sticker price and get them to cover $5,000 in your closing costs, you will come out on top financially. Okay. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah. And beautifully said.
Thank you.
The biggest difference in so every $1,000 you make or move in purchase price, it's really only going to move your payment $5. So again, we have to talk about what's your biggest priority. Is it protecting your out-of-pocket expense or is it protecting your monthly payment? Because if it's protecting your out-of-pocket expense, let's ask for that $5,000 in closing because that's truly $5,000 that you do not have to bring to the closing table. And $5,000 off the price, $25 cheaper a month. If you do the math, that's a long time in that house to recoup that $5,000 that you could have had covered. Closing costs, that is all your one-time fees, like paying for the lender, paying for the appraisal, paying for your credit report, attorney fees, everything that's one time outside of a home inspection. That's all included in closing costs, and then including the seller can also cover your insurance premium at closing as well. Because you pay a full year's premium at closing for your insurance, the seller can also cover that for you. So it's just having that open communication. What is most important to me? And you got to communicate that with me and Julia, so that way we're all on the same page and we structure this offer. So that way you go to closing. Yes, this is the payment that I want. Yes, this is the payment or the out-of-pocket expense that I need to have. It's important. Yeah. So it is. So your one-time fees. So it's attorney fees. So paying for the attorney. South Carolina is an attorney state. You have to have an attorney representing you at closing. So that's paying for their time. They're going to see if the seller has any unpaid IRS debt or tax debt. So you have a clean title. So they do what we call a title search. Paying for title insurance, meaning if you buy a house, the seller's old brother-in-law, sister, someone can't come try to claim your home, saying that they have ownership in the home. That's title insurance. Attorney fees, lender fees, appraisal fees, making sure that the value is what it's at the sales price or above. credit report fees, and like small wire fees and stuff like that. Also includes homeowners insurance premium as well.
Okay, I think that was our last one. So thank you for playing. And now Chris, we've been talking about this for a long time. We were like, oh my gosh, we want to do this huge presentation, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, let's just keep it casual. So we love that this is a small group and we want this to be like an intimate conversation. So we just want to give you all the opportunity to ask us anything. If you don't have any questions, we have some more sample questions that we've thought about and we can answer for you. But after playing factor crap, and we know that your time is so precious, and we can't thank you enough for being here. Tell us why you came to this session. Tell us what you wanted to get out of it. What have we not covered that you're still wondering about? And just pick our brains. Feel free. I'm going to give a moment. No pressure. I said we do have sample questions. So, but if you think of anything, let's just all take a minute, take a little breather. And yeah.
What are the have to get the buyer?
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
So one of my sample questions was to ask Chris, are there any down payment assistant programs? What type? There are some first-time home buyer assistant programs. So I'm going to let Chris take it from here.
Yeah, so a lot of the first-time home buyer loans, they have income caps on them. So we review what your income is. Whoever is applying for the loan, it has to be under 80% of the area median income. Basically, there's a formula that I plug in, say, hey, you're good. You make less than the area median income. So that is one big qualification. The second, really probably the most important, is credit score. So if you have at least a 620, ideally a 640, you technically qualify for all loan programs out there. But the higher the credit score, the more loan programs that will be more advantageous for you. The most popular, I would imagine, is an FHA loan. That's a government-backed loan. It needs 3.5% of your down payment, or 3.5% of the sales price for a down payment. It is the easiest barrier to entry because once you're above a 640, you can have a 640 or 800, you're getting the same interest rate. So they're not super sensitive with their interest rate and PMI when it comes to credit score. Conventional loan, very, very sensitive to your credit score when it comes to interest rate and your PMI. So if you have a 660 or around there, likely going to go FHA. 760, we're likely going to go conventional. So credit score and income are the two biggest things that we look at to make sure you qualify for that. FHA does not have an income limit on it. It's just, are you above 640? You can go as low as 580, but the interest rate is not very fun.
Chris, tell me how I get a better credit score.
You let us look at it and let us see what you can do to improve it. The biggest things, or really there's a couple of things they look at. Credit card balances. Keep that below 30% of the total credit limit or below, if you can. That is the best way to improve your credit. If you have credit cards and you jack them up, that is going to hurt your credit score the most, and miss payments. So
do not miss a credit card payment ever.
Make the bare minimum at least every single month, because if you miss one payment, it's probably going to push you 4 months behind. And again, credit just takes time to rebuild. So the only thing that really we cannot do very quickly is usually credit. So keep your credit card balances below. If you don't have credit, does anyone here, let me ask this. If you don't have credit, the easiest way to get credit established is to open up what we call a secured credit card. And do not think of that as, hey, this is my credit card, I'm going to go spend a bunch of money on it. This is my credit card to just establish credit and just buy tank of gas on it once a month, and that's it. You cannot
treat it as a debit card.
Yeah.
You spend, you immediately pay it off next day, as soon as it posts. Spend, immediately pay it off next day. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's what I did.
No, it's what works.
Yeah. So don't spend more than you earn. That's the things they don't teach you in college, and that's why we're here. Is this whole speaker series is like, what did we miss when we went to USC? And it's little things like that we don't talk about. We talk about, I graduated from the journalism school. I can tell you all about media and print and advertising and how to use InDesign. I got a C in that class, but I can tell you all about those things, but I didn't know how to build credit.
I wish they had a class in high school and college, because I can't tell you how many folks come to us like, Chris, I want to buy a home, but I don't have credit. How do I get credit? Typically, secured credit card, after a couple of payments, then we're going to have typically all 3 credit bureaus pop up, all 3 credit scores pop up. Or get added as an authorized user on someone's card. That also works, as long as they're responsible with the credit card. Don't apply with anyone that abuses credit cards. They'll abuse your credit score too.
Yes.
So question, when you mentioned earlier about the work-life program, the discovery out there, social media side, they said, "Oh, you all that, why the last 7 years,
Yeah.
still qualify therapy, or it's not full blown when you get like that property or could you elaborate on that?"
So if you don't own a home for more than 3 years, so let's say you buy a house and you sell it, you move away, you rent for 3+ years, you come back and want to buy a house again, you're technically, in the eyes of the state of South Carolina, a first-time home buyer again. So you have to still meet the same criteria of credit score and income to get those loans, but that you're technically a first-time home buyer again in the state of South Carolina, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
learn something new every day.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
Any other questions?
How many how many
Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that so that we make sure to get it in the mic. The question was pre-approvals. How many can you have? And
how many can you have outstanding? So basically, you can apply with a couple of different lenders. Some lenders will have niche products, like if you are a doctor and you need a physician loan. We do not specialize in physician loans, so I send them to someone that I know will get them a good rate and good competitive offer. As far as how long they last, the only thing that technically expires is your credit report, and that expires every 120 days. But that doesn't mean every 121st day we're going to pull credit again. So as long as we have that open communication, hey, I'm still looking for a home, we're still going to be here. I had a client who closed this earlier this year. She was referred to me over 3 years ago, but we kept talking, and she finally closed on that. But she just had to keep me updated. Hey, my income has changed, or my employment has changed, or our assets have changed, or hey, I need to go get a new car, or whatever the case may be. So we can continue to update it, and then you can apply with a couple of different lenders at the same time, and it won't hurt. You just have to really say who you're going to go with when you go into contract for it. That's when you really should nail down your lender.
pick somebody.
Yeah.
And pick the person that you're most comfortable with and that you feel like you can ask the questions and
Yeah.
it's going to give you the time, the patience, and really explain things to you. Because the worst thing in the world is having a lender that you don't feel like you can ask questions to, or isn't available, or doesn't put things in layman's terms, and you're like, I don't even know what PMI is.
Yeah, or an internet lender who you'll press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish. You don't want that experience through the entire loan process.
This is the biggest purchase of your life.
Yeah. You don't want to just go with an internet lender to save $20 a month. It will be a grind for y'all, and it will not be fun. So go with someone you know and trust.
Awesome. What else? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll tell Paul you got over you can go back but what's that about?
Yes. So Guild Mortgage, we didn't have one for a while, but we recently just got one back, which I still don't love. Truist has a really good one. Truist Bank. And that's just being honest. My wife's a veterinarian, so that's my brother-in-law, so his sister. She has a medical degree, but we just went with the conventional route because we had some money to put down. So if you have money to put down with a physician loan, that loan doesn't mean you need to do that. But yeah, Truist has a really good one, I would say.
Were you going to ask one, Jared?
Some more. Y'all said it was great. Yeah. So, what's up? About it's like the whole.
Woo, what a great question. So there's a lot of different answers. The good thing, and I don't know where you guys are planning on going. I don't know if you're planning on staying in Columbia. I don't know if you're planning, maybe you have family out in California or in the Midwest or whatever. What we're seeing right now is the East Coast, home values are not dipping. They're only going to continue to rise, rise, rise. There's been something called the Great Migration from the West Coast to the East Coast. So homes in, California and the Midwest, those homes are sitting on the market for long periods of time. And I don't don't think that home values really ever take a serious dip, but they're definitely not increasing like we're seeing on the East Coast. Columbia, Charleston, Charlotte, this whole East Coast, they're only going up, guys. So the best time to buy a home is sooner rather than later. And I'm actually so glad you asked this, because my next question that I was going to ask Chris to ask me was, should I wait till interest rates fall to buy? That will mean a lower payment, right? And that is not necessarily true. Yes, we're seeing interest rates. They are higher than they were. They're in the 7s right now. But I promise you, if you wait till those interest rates go down, ultimately you're going to be paying so much more, because when interest rates decrease, all the buyers everywhere, they come to the market and they want to snatch up all the homes. So if you're ready to buy a home, that's why you want to talk to Chris and me, because if you can afford that monthly payment now, it's better to get in now than, do you remember the COVID craziness where homes were going for $100,000 over asking price? You do not want to be in that situation, because you're paying $100,000 more for a home. And then when that home appraisal comes in, you're going to get into trouble. We can go into that another time. That's very complex, but the perfect time to buy a home is when you think that you're ready and you can afford the monthly payment and you have a good cushion in case something goes wrong.
You can always refinance the loan whenever rates come down. So like if you buy now and your rate's 6.5, 2 years from now, rates are at 5, we're going to be the first ones calling you saying, hey, we can get you a lower monthly payment. Let's do a refinance. And a lot of lenders, including us, are waiving lender fees when you get a refinance. So we're not going to charge you processing and underwriting fees, because we want to be there for you and still help you get the refinance and get you a lower monthly payment.
Save you the most money. Yes. That's what we're both here to do, is get you the home that you want and save you the most amount of money. So to answer your question, home values on the East Coast, they're just going up. Yeah. That's what we see trending wise. In other parts of the country, might not be that way. Yeah. But real estate really rarely depreciates. Yes, we all saw the horrors of 2008, and we did see the real estate market totally crash. I don't foresee that happening again.
It is way too hard to get a loan, or not too hard to get a loan, but it is way more scrutinized to get a loan now than it was in 2008. Basically, they would call like, hey, do you have a pulse? Okay, here's a loan. That's why the market crashed. People couldn't afford their homes. But now it is a lot more scrutinized, whereas that would not happen.
What other? Yes, ma'am. Low income programs. You want to speak to that?
Yes.
Get a loan?
There are a few. So we're not associated with, like, we don't fund through any of them. So there are a few. I'm blanking on the name. You have to
that's just his mortgage company doesn't do those. But that doesn't mean that they're not out there.
There are. I have clients who have asked me about them, but then I was like, hey, we don't actually do those. You have to go through them. Basically, you have to go through and educate. It's like a 6-week program of like how to buy a home, and then they get you ready, and then they give you a grant to help buy the home. And there are income limits on them. I think it's like 50% of the area median income. So it's Richland County, that would probably be around like 40 to 45,000 on an annual basis. And if you're below that, then you qualify in their eyes. But it's a whole different program.
And it is based on your geographic location. And you might have to buy in a certain area of town to qualify, or Okay. What else? Yes, ma'am.
Whether you will leverage the USDA loan?
Yeah. I got it. So that is 100% financing, and it has to be in a rural area. So the property has to qualify. There are also household income limits, and with USDA and state housing, which is also a grant program. So depending on how many people are going to live in the home, we have to make sure everyone's income, even if you have a daughter who's 20, not on the loan, but has a part-time job, we have to look at her income. So it depends on the household, how many people live there, and you have to be under a household income limit. Again, it changes by each county and the amount of people. And so it's 100% financing. The rates are pretty strong. They are kind of comparing to like a typical FHA loan. But again, you don't have to put any money down, get a seller to cover your closing costs. Why not have to come out of pocket for the loan? But the house has to qualify. So like if you were looking and interested in USDA loan, I have clients like, hey, does this home qualify? I'll look at the website, say, hey, you're good, or actually, sorry, that doesn't qualify. So it's just property contingent.
Do they have like a list of areas that
Yes, there is through the USDA website, there's USDA property eligibility tool. You can type in any address that you want, and it's going to give you a green light, basically, or a red light, saying that qualifies or not. And then they'll also have a list of counties, what the income limits are based on your household. Yeah.
Great questions, guys.
Anyone else?
All right. Well, we are at almost an hour, and so we really would love to stay in touch with you guys. It is an absolute honor to be here for both of us as alumni of USC. Please take a picture of these slides. We also have our information on flyers back there. What we did was you can either take a whole packet for the first time home, or not first time, for the home buyer process. You can take the whole packet, or if you're like, ugh, I hate paper. You can just take the ones that interest you. We have like one flyer that has what you're going to be spending on rent and how much money you're throwing away, and you could use that money to be buying a home. Take a look at that. Take a look at all of them. Take what you like, leave the rest, or just take the whole packet if you're, ready to get out of here. Take the whole packet, take a look at it in the car when you get home, and recycle it if you don't want it. But we did want you guys to have something to take home with you. Chris and I, you're good to stick around for a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm here. We'll be here for the next 30 minutes, an hour or so. We would love to stay in touch with y'all. So like I said, these are our personal cell numbers. Please text us. Tell us what you liked about the session. Tell us what you hated about the session. Send us a Gamecock message when we win a football game this fall. When we win all of our games this fall. But please stay in touch. Follow us on Instagram. These are our handles. And just know, we're here for you. If you are moving, like I said, if you're moving to Iowa, I want to help you. I want to help you find a realtor. I love doing that. It's like matchmaking for me. Love is blind, but find your agent. Let me help you find your agent. It's one of my favorite parts of the job. So, and also I stay in touch with that whole process. So it's not, you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 deal. You're getting an agent in Iowa and you're getting me on the side. So we really, really are so grateful for y'all coming and being here. And yes, you have another question? Yes, I have 3 that I can just off the top of my head. Yeah. So part of our job is to, know those folks in other places. And like I said, if we don't know, we're going to vet them for you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's be that's right. She's a real estate snacker on Instagram. She's in California.
Yeah.
And she said that you right, that once you get a offer letter, lawyer, that's associate
Yes. I meant to talk about this because that is a great question. So you're talking about out of school, got an offer letter for a job. Can they qualify? What do you think?
Is it facts or crap?
What do you think?
I think it's credible.
You think you need to be working for at least however many years before you can qualify?
Yeah, but
So tell us, Chris.
Yeah, so it is actually fact. So you can use an offer letter and your schooling as history to qualify for a home. And I can speak from personal experience. That's what me and my wife did. So she graduated vet school. She had an offer letter. As long as the offer letter says you're going to be making this is your position, this is your start date, you have to start your job within 60 days of closing. So you can even close on the home before you can start your job.
So they're pre-qualified?
Yeah, you close on the home before that. So as long as we have an offer letter and that all pre-hired contingencies have been met, that has stumped a few people. Like if you have to do a drug test the day before you start your job or licensing test within 90 days, that
they have to wait on that drug test.
Yeah, that could stump you. But as long as they, hey, she's going to start in 60 and this day, this is a position, this is her rate of pay. We verbally confirm that with them. Like, hey, is this for real? Is this valid? And yeah. You can use your schooling as history of employment.
Now, this has to be like a actual single dwelling home.
Condo, townhome. Yep.
It can be anything. It typically, like, if you, I'll say there's a little caveat. And let's say you studied veterinary medicine. I'm going to keep using my wife as an example. But then you got a job as a first grade teacher. That doesn't really make sense because you studied as a veterinary medicine, but now you're a teacher. That doesn't really make sense. So typically, it does have to be in the field that you studied school.
So
No, I like it.
I have a friend, friend of mine.
Yeah.
One response thing. So it does wait on if you go to proximity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So your letter resume that school or patient.
Yep.
Plus your offer letter. So we'll say right there are
That's just going to qualify you for the loan. That's going to help
Yeah.
Chris and you see what is your price point for
Yeah.
buying the home.
What is your income that we can qualify you on the loan? It's the exact same as like if I had a client who has a job and has been making that salary for 5 years, I use that same income the same way as I use an offer letter based on like, hey, they're going to be making 50 grand a year with this position. And we can use that to qualify and close them the loan before they even start the job.
the only goal that I might about that you have to be on why say what you're saying or 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can jump, like even now, you can jump around too, as long as there hasn't been a major gap of unemployment, typically at least 3 to 6 months. That's totally fine.
That's something like one of my clients was so miserable at her job. She was like, we're in the process of buying a home, right? And a lot of people are like, don't quit your job when you're don't buy a car, don't quit your job when you're in the process of buying a home.
Yeah.
She was so miserable with her job. And I was like, if you can get another job lined up with your same salary or higher, quit your job, quit being miserable. As long as it's similar in salary or higher, it's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where you get tripped up is if you go from like a salary or W-2 job to a 1099 employee, to whereas you're getting paid in cash or full-time commission. But I can't show a history of that 2 years of you making the cash or the commission job, but salary, one job to another, I'm not going to be the one to tell you, hey, don't jump on that opportunity because you're trying to buy a house. We'll work through it. Obviously, that's not the most ideal thing to do, but as long as you talk with us before you make the decision, then that's fine.
Don't do anything without just like giving us a heads up, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Any final? We can mingle over by tea, lemonade, cookies, but I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. So again, thank y'all so much, and alumni staff, thank y'all so much for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're here for you guys. Please take down our information. I hope to get texts from all of you when we win our first game, and just stay in touch.
Cool.
Go Cox. Thanks, guys.